the chapter. You're going to see table completion, which is a question type in listening module. Remember, we are going through all the question types and providing you pointers and the examples of listening modules. If you continue with us, you will see all the other modules as well, like reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, let's proceed. So what is this table completion anyway? You will be given a table, and in where some of the information will be there, but some missing, right? So for example, we have here a statement provided, and here there will be a blank, again statement provided. So table completion is nothing but you complete the table, you fill in the table, right? Let's proceed then. It is similar to sentence completion. For example, we have a sentence and we have some blank, then we have another sentence with a blank. The only difference is this will be in the form of a table. So what will be the major differences when you're forming a table? Yes, you thought of it. I think you got it right. It has to have columns as well as rows. That's the major difference in a table compared to sentences, right? Now let's see an example so that you get clear what will be asked in exam or what kind of question will come up. Table completion looks like this. In here we have some question. We have some instructions to write. We have word count, and here we have the questions. You see, questions are written as numbers, as you can see here and here and here, all these things. Let me just clear it up so that you can do it. Now I'll be playing the audio for you to practice. Just beginning, of course I'll be providing you pointers later, but first you just do it and see how it works. It'll take you not more than 2 minutes, right? So be ready for the audio.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
By the way, how much will I have to pay in fares?
Well, you can get a ticket on the bus for $1.80 cash, and you'll need $10 each way for the train. Wait, do you have a travel link card?
No, but I can get one before tomorrow.
Okay, well that'll make it considerably cheaper then. The bus will cost $1.50 each way, and the train to Harbour City will still cost $10 because you'll be travelling during peak hours in the morning, so no savings there, I'm afraid. However, if you could come back at an off-peak time...
What does that mean?
Well, if you could start your return journey before 5 p.m. or later than 7:30 in the evening...
Actually, I wasn't planning on coming back till at least 8 o'clock anyway.
Well, in that case, you can make quite a saving if you use your travel link card. You did say you were planning to purchase one, didn't you?
Yes, I'll pick one up later today.
Good. That would mean your return train journey would only cost you $7.15 with your card.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Actually, there is. Do you know if I can use the travel link card on ferries?
If you're thinking of the Harbour City ferries that go back and forth between the North and South Bank, those are the commuter ferries, then yes. A one-way trip costs $4.50, but with your card you'd make a 20% saving and only pay $3.55.
So $3.55 for the commuter ferry. What about the tour boats?
You mean the tourist ferries that go upriver on sightseeing tours? No, they only take cash or credit card. They're not part of the Travel Link company.
Oh, I see. I don't suppose you know the cost of a tour?
In actual fact, I do, because I took a friend on the trip upriver just last week. We decided on the afternoon tour, and that was $35 each. But I understand that you can do the whole day for $65.
Thank you. You've been a great help.
My pleasure. Enjoy your day out.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, so we are back. I hope you find all the answers, and let's see what is the solution for this. Solution is number 1, 1.80, 7 second, 7.30, third, 7.15, 9th, commuter, and 10th afternoon. Okay, if you got all correct, wonderful. If not, don't worry, the pointers gonna help you to go through this. And what are these pointers? We have discussed it earlier. Pointers are just tips or tricks or some kind of advices that can help you to go through the answer or questions and find the answers easily or quickly. Yeah, the first one is rows and columns, most important in a table. I think we talked about it, that in a table there's the only difference than fill in the blanks. You have rows and columns which provide information about what will be in below that. So look at here. Let me just get rid of some of the parts so that we can focus on rows and columns. And let me zoom in. If you look here, we have cash fare, card fare. So when they talk about cash fare, they're going to talk about in this column. When they talk about card fare, they're going to talk about this column. When they talk about transport, what kind of transportation is used, they're going to talk about this column. Now look at the rows, right? Bus, when they talk about bus, cash fare, they're going to talk about this row. Same way, for train in peak, they're going to talk about in this row. This will give you information, or the rows and columns will provide you information what will be here, or in a way you can predict from here using rows and columns. Yes, let me show you an example. Bus for card fare will be 150. For train peak will be 10 for both. For train off peak it will be 10. It's the cash fare. You can see it's what provides us information, that is the column and the row. When you coincide this, you come here. This is the cash fare for the train which is off peak. Blank ferry, that is the commuter ferry, have we seen the answer, will have 450. So rows and columns are important. When you're given time initially, that is some time, for example 30 seconds, they say please go through this kind of question. Please underline the rows and the columns. That means what kind of information I'll be hearing, I should be aware of. That kind of info is important. Okay. Next one is this thing I've shown you, that we have bus and they have given bus. For this we have 150 for the card fare. Now next one is prediction. Prediction is of utmost importance. We have seen the same one in our previous one, that is form completion. What is prediction? That you predict the answer, which might be the answer, or at least you get close to that. Here it's easier actually. So when you look at it, for this one, let me just get rid of some of them and zoom in so that we can focus on. So sixth one must be a number because they have mentioned $sign, right? Seventh one must be a time. You can predict it. Eighth one must be also money. I mean some number. And ninth one, a kind of ferry. Ferry is a kind of boat which is used to transport people from one point to another in water, in sea or river. So this must be a type of ferry. So hence you won't expect a number here. If you expect a number, it's incorrect. If you expect a time, it's incorrect. You have to expect a type of ferry. This is called predicting. This expecting is called predicting. It helps you to listen to the audio and come up with the answer. All right. The last but not the least is the unit. In tables, when we see units, what I mean by units is, look here, they have mentioned dollar symbol. Here they have mentioned PM. Here they have mentioned dollar again. First of all, as we have seen in instructions in question type 1, which is form completion, we talked about if unit is provided, you don't have to write it. Now they're going to say, let's say 150. You don't have to write again $150. Or if they provided PM, you don't have to write PM or AM again. Okay. Second thing, with the unit, you can guess already what will be the answer. So these units are very important for us. Not just for predicting, but also take care of them. If they have included them, don't write it there. If they have not included them and they are talking about it in the audio, please mention them. For an example, they have not mentioned this. So then you have to write $150. If they have not mentioned this, you have to say PM, whatever PM it is here, 5 or 6 or 7, whatever it is, right? So I hope you got the meaning of this unit thing. One more thing which I have to talk about is the number of words mentioned in the instruction is also important. I didn't include it here because we have seen it earlier in question type 1, that is form completion. If you have not gone through it, please go through it. Number of words are important and you should know how many I can use. For example, here there's just one required in this kind of question, and hence we cannot write more than one. Okay, cool. That's the end of the chapter. I know that was a short one, but sometimes what can we do? Pointers are not many and you can easily find the answers. Remember, we are still going through listening module and types of question we have with pointers, examples and everything. And today it's sentence completion. What is the meaning of sentence completion? You might have seen this in your schools or universities called fill in the blanks. I think it's quite familiar to you, fill in the blanks rather than sentence completion, where you have a statement and you have some blank in there after that. Remember, these statements are separate. I mean, they are not connected to each other. Right? A single sentence which is not connected, like I said. So you'll be listening to an audio, you will have a statement with a blank in it. What I mean by connection is these two are not connected directly. What if we are forming a paragraph and we talk about one sentence and then have a blank in it, and then talk about next sentence with a blank in it? So these are connected. You have to go in the sequence, but here they are not connected. Hence I call it single sentence with no connection. They are not connected. That is called sentence completion. This is the typical example what it looks like. We have here a sentence and a question. Now, question might be mentioned here or close to the blank. It's the same thing. You have to search for this question here, 27, 28, 29, 30. On the top, they will mention the number and instructions, right? Pointers we'll see later. First, I would like you to go through this and see how much you get. And you will get an idea. I mean, you will get an idea how this question has been taken care. Yeah? Let me play the audio. Get ready for it.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you find it hard studying with the Open University?
You mean because you're studying on your own most of the time?
Hmm.
Well, it took me a while to get used to it. I found I needed to maintain a high level of motivation because it's so different from school. There's no one saying, "Why haven't you written your assignment yet?" and that sort of thing.
Oh, dear.
You'll learn it, Paul. Another thing was that I got very good at time management because I had to fit time for studying round a full-time job.
Well, I'm hoping to change to working part-time, so that'll help.
What makes it easier is that the degree is made up of modules, so you can take time off between them if you need to. It isn't like a traditional 3 or 4 year course where you've got to do the whole thing of it in one go.
Oh, that's good, because I'd like to spend 6 months traveling next year.
Huh, it's all right for some. Then, even though you're mostly studying at home, remember you've got tutors to help you, and from time to time there are summer schools. They usually last a week. They're great because you meet all the other people struggling with the same things as you.
Oh,
I've made some really good friends that way.
sounds good. So how do I apply?
Alright, so we are back. I hope you got all the answers correctly, number 27, 28, 29 and 30. See, here we have mentioned blanks almost in the end. Sometimes they do come here or even in the beginning. That doesn't mean there's a different type. It's the same type. The difference, I mean the main component is a single statement with a single blank. Alright, there won't be two blanks ever. Nice, let's see the answers now. The answer number 1 is motivation. Second one, time management. Hyphen, it's up to you if you want to keep. If you don't want to keep a blank, it's correct. Third one, that is 29th one, is modules. And 30th is summer school or schools. Both are correct. When we form a bracket here, that means it's correct without it or with it. Now, if there's a spelling mistake, it's incorrect. Remember, if you've written exactly the same answers, it's correct. If you got 4 out of 4, wonderful. If not, don't worry. We have pointers coming and you can practice some other questions which we'll mention later. Let's go with the pointers now. Yeah. And pointers are the tips that can help you to find the answers easily. The first one, read and predict. This is the first one. Read and predict. When you have an audio provided, or let's say when you have a question provided, they're going to definitely give you some time. Okay. And then you can predict based on that. Now let's understand both of them separately, what I mean by read and predict. So these are the questions that are provided to you. Before this, they will say, have a look at question number 27 to 30. Your task is to read through these places, right? We have here question 3 and 4. I want you to read all of them, right? And go through the blank as well. What could be an answer for this blank? Let's read together. Studying with the Open University demanded a great deal of what? Hard work or some kind of quality for sure. So in the question paper, write in bracket, or this will be a quality. Studying and working at the same time improved Rachel's blank skill. Again, this will be a quality. They have already mentioned some kind of skill. But whose skill? Rachel's skill. You have to listen for information about Rachel, right? Let's see the third one. It was helpful that the course was structured in what? In either language or in the time or in the college, something related to the structure and course in some blank. She enjoyed meeting other students at either a time or a place, because at is only used for these things, right? So you can predict either a time or place. This is called reading through and predicting. Now you are given 30 seconds to read before the audio is being played, right? You have enough, or let's say ample time to go through it. And predicting helps you to listen for the information which is required for you. See, the audio which they are playing is not for fun or enjoyment. You know, what are they talking about? Any interesting topic. Because you're not going to get score or marks for understanding the audio. You will get only marks for writing the correct answer. Hence, you have to look for specific information. This is where this prediction and reading prior to the audio comes in. I hope you understand this thing. Yeah. Next one, we have synonyms. Now, what is the meaning of these synonyms? Synonyms mean that sentence will be paraphrased, but let me just help you with that. Answers have to be exact words. Synonyms, in a way, that means you will have to you cannot provide answers as synonyms. Exact words have to be used, which they said in the audio. For an example, let's see what I mean by all of this. Here we have a blank, and we have given answer as motivation, right? In the place of motivation, you thought inspiration you will write. That's incorrect. Inspiration cannot be the correct answer for a reason. It's synonym for motivation, which they didn't even speak. So inspiration cannot be considered as correct answer. It has to be motivation. What I mean by paraphrasing, which we mentioned earlier, this is here paraphrased, is that this statement won't be said exactly the way it is. In the audio, they're not going to say studying with Open University demanded a great deal of something. Of course, they can paraphrase it. For example, Open University requires a lot of blank. Yes, so see, this is how paraphrased it is. They might put in two sentences, right? They'll talk about universities, let's say Open Universities, and say it's a great place to study, but it requires. So these are two statements, and they have mentioned the answer using those. Listen for the prediction which you have mentioned earlier. I mean, we have mentioned read and predict here, right? Predict those answers, and eventually you will get the correct answer. Another tip I would like to give you here is, please listen for each statement in the audio. Some people, what they do is they just listen for Open University. That's it. Don't. Here we have read the question, right? That means the blank. Studying with Open University demanded a great deal of something. Where have they mentioned something about Open University? Where have they mentioned regarding what they demand or what they require or what they expect from you? That's it, you have to listen for. So listen for each statement one by one. Let's say I say something about the university. You connect with the blank. Is it correct? No, it's not filling any of the blank. Next statement in the audio. Is it correct? Yeah, maybe. Then you fill the answer. And as every blank and most of the question we have mentioned, it will go in the sequence. Yes. So once they have mentioned 27, they'll proceed with 28 and they'll proceed with 29. Same way all the time it has been followed. The sequence has to be followed. Once in one statement I found one answer, definitely audio will talk about the next one. So I'll talk about Rachel, right? And next time I'll talk about the helpfulness of the course. There was a structured in what? In some way. I have kept it gray so I don't talk about it. We have enough 3, right? Good. So this is about paraphrasing and synonyms. Please don't provide answers as synonyms. Exact words have to be used in the answers. Next one is grammar. Not just grammar. I am sure if it is grammatically incorrect, you cannot fill it. Try to do that, right? So we have this answer here. Instead of motivation, if you put something else, will it be correct answer? Sometimes people don't even understand this. What I mean is, let's say you're listening to this blank and you predicted earlier. Now, instead of prediction, what you do is just write something incorrectly. You predicted incorrectly. You made that mistake, no problem. But when you read it next time and you're providing the answer, it's like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. Let's see an example. Studying with the Open University demanded a great deal of let's call it exercise. See, in this case, it is making sense. And when I say a great deal of cats, it doesn't make any sense, right? This is making sense together. Exercise, cats or dogs or a name of a person doesn't make sense because great deal of what? Grammatically, it's incorrect. In that case, you can check. Second thing, it has to be correct spelling, right? You have to spell the answer correctly. Instead of this spelling, if you don't write A here, it's incorrect. You won't get the mark for that. All right. So these are the 2 things that you have to take care while writing, not just the grammar, but the spelling. If it is grammatically incorrect, you cannot provide it as an answer. It's also a hint that this is not the correct answer. Okay. And that's the end of the chapter. This listening module has many questions and hence we have to take care of them. Now, this multiple choice actually is one of my favorite as well as least favorite. The reasons you will see soon. First of all, let's see what happens in multiple choice. There will be 3 options given to you and there will be 1 statement or a question. Remember the 3 options. If it has more than 3 options, it is called matching. That will be a different question type which we have to discuss later. Now, difficulty level in this kind of question is definitely at a higher level. I mean, it's really difficult to do this question, but if it is in section 3, okay, if it is in section 1, then it's not that difficult. Same goes for section 2, but when it comes to section 3, things get hard. Okay, section 1 is where you have a conversation. Section 2 is where we have a monologue. Section 3, again conversation, plus the size or the length of the text in MCQ, that is multiple choice questions, increases tremendously. And that's the reason it is most difficult in section 3. Yeah, so this can be particularly seen here. And my target is to make you clear this one. If you could do, or if you could clear these kind of questions, or you could find the right answer for section 3, section 1 and 2 would be very easy. Same goes for section 4. It's very similar to section 3 in case of multiple choice. All right. Now, let me tell you one thing, why it is difficult. The reason for it to be difficult is you have a lot to read as well as listen at the same time. What is the meaning of lot to read? Now, when we get multiple choice question, we have a question and some options, right? Now, these options sometimes are actually bigger than your question, and hence you have to read almost like a passage. At the same time, you are listening stuff. how would it work out then? You are reading stuff as well as listening, and you have a lot to read and find an answer. On the top of it, our reading speed is horrible. Our reading speed goes to almost like 150 words per minute, which is really bad. We'll see how to solve this problem. For now, let me show you an example so that we can understand what will be there in this kind of question. By the way, in this case, I'm adding two examples. We'll see why two examples. The first one is from section 1. You can see the question 9 and 10. I think you remember where I said section 1 has 1 to 10 is section 1, 11 to 20 is section 2, 21 to 30 is section 3, and 31 to 40 is section 4. And this one is 9 and 10. And this is taken from IELTS.org just to show you what kind of question you will be getting. Let me play an audio where you can find answer for number 9 and 10. All right, there we go.
Okay, right. Now, obviously insurance is an important thing to consider, and our companies are able to offer very good rates in a number of different all-inclusive packages.
Sorry, could you explain a bit more?
Yes, sorry. There's really 3 rates according to quality of insurance cover. There's the highest comprehensive cover, which is premium rate. Then there's standard rate, and then there's economy rate. That one will only cover the cost of the contents second hand.
Oh, I've been stung before with economy insurance, so I'll go for the highest.
And can I just check, would you want home delivery or to a local depot, or would you want to pick it up at the nearest port?
The port would be fine. I've got transport that end.
Fine. And will you be paying by credit card?
Can I pay by check?
And we are back. I hope you found an answer. One thing I would like to mention, okay, you don't have to write the answer as, let's say if the answer is economy, you don't have to write economy. You have to write A, the letter. That is A, B, C, these letters, okay? Good. So the answer for the first one is premium. For the second one is port. That is C and A. If you get it correct, wonderful. And I think you might have, because this is section 1, the easiest type. Let me take you to the next question type, which is taken from section 3, or in fact section 4, very similar. 35 and 36 are the questions. Now see what happens here. The length of the question or the statement is shorter than the options. Yeah, you can see in 35 and 36 both. Now let me play the audio and see if you can catch it.
Research shows that when these groups first come into contact with a Western diet, their health suffers. Once they're exposed to our diet of refined carbohydrates and sugars, they quickly develop our lifestyle-related diseases. However, that does not mean that the human digestive system is suited to digesting only a few sources of food, nor that it cannot change to accommodate different food sources. In fact, the evidence would suggest exactly the opposite. As a species, we are able to make significant modifications to our digestive systems according to what foods are available in our local environment. Examples abound, and our ability to digest lactose is a good one. Lactose is a sugar that is found in milk, and it is digested in the human gut by the enzyme lactase. In communities in Europe, the Middle East and Africa that traditionally herd cattle and drink cow's milk, this enzyme is present and people can digest milk products. However, in places such as China and Thailand, which do not have this style of farming, the enzyme is lacking, and most people have lactose intolerance. Another example is the ability to digest the sugars from starchy foods.
We are back. Time to get the answers. For the first one, it's C. We can adapt to a range of diets. And number 36 is B. In the past, they didn't farm cows. If you got these answers, wonderful. If not, don't worry. We have pointers coming. We have some things that can help you to get these answers easily. Yeah. What are these things called? I think we have discussed them. Pointers. These things are called pointers. These are tips that can help you. Now, the first one is speed reading. Earlier, I was discussing with you that normally our speed is 150 words per minute. True? If you are an avid reader, your speed might go to 350 to 400 words per minute. That's tremendously good compared to 150. We all lie between this, so maybe 200 words per minute, which is not good enough for our MCQs or multiple choice questions. We have to reach anywhere between 350 to 400. The biggest reason for us to not get the speed is our childhood. We never learn how to read quickly. Yeah, and there's a lot to read. There is always a scope to read and learn how to read it. We never learn how to read. We just learned, oh, we have to read this way. We learned alphabet, we learned language, but never learn how to read. Because I think 80 to 90% were not even into books. We were into videos or games. So that's what happens. Let me change it today. Let me try to tell you or help you with the technique that can help you as well. This is a simple statement, right? Let's try to read it the way you read and the way we read before even applying the speed reading. This is a long sentence, as we need to practice speed reading for IELTS listening. You see, what did I do, or how did I read this one? I read it this way, that I club most important information together. So this is a long sentence, as we need to practice speed reading for IELTS listening. The things I have underlined are what people combine together to form a phrase. That is, this is a long sentence, as we need to practice speed reading for IELTS listening. Right. See how many breaks they are taking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 breaks. These breaks do take time, right? Let me give you another example or make it better. Now look here, we'll try to go as fast as possible, take half the number of the breaks. This is a long sentence. So we read, this is a long sentence, as we need to practice speed reading for IELTS listening. We took this time only 2 breaks. Compared to the earlier ones, we are taking just really less number of breaks. This will increase your speed in reading. Secondly, our speed is limited to our speech, right? So when I'm speaking it out, I cannot think while looking at it. So always in exam, please read in your mind or in your brain. Don't read it out loud, or even don't just mutter it, because firstly, it's going to disturb others. I've seen examples of that. Second thing is, you will read it faster, because in your brain you can read it faster rather than reading it out loud. Okay, good. This is one technique that can help. You have to take some of the examples, or let's say sentences, and practice with them. And speed reading comes from practice. It's not just a technique that I told you and you can get it done. Okay. Now, second information, or second, let's say, pointer is concising the information. How to shorten the information, because without shortening, it is going to be a little bit difficult even with speed reading, right? Now we have, this was the earlier question I've shown you in section 3. This was from section 3, remember? We have huge question and huge example. Let's just get rid of the instructions over here, and also the question number 35. I just want to take care of 36 here and see how we're going to concise this first statement, that is, Thai people have difficulty digesting milk because. Now this is the whole statement which we have in the question. How can we concise this? We only take important information. Thai difficulty digesting milk. Why? Maybe they have too much lactose in their body. We make it to lot lactose in bodies. Second, in the past they didn't farm cows. Past, no farm cows. Third, the saliva lacks certain enzymes. Saliva lacks enzymes. You see, we try to fit as little words as possible and make sense of the passage, the question and the options. Now these are almost less than half of the words which you have seen in the question. This is called concising the information. In exam, you won't be definitely writing it again, but what you can do is just underline it. For example, thigh, difficulty, digesting, milk. Options, let's look at it. Instead of too much, you just write too much, or you can write lot, lactose, bodies. Past, didn't, cows. Saliva, certain, enzymes. Done. Now see how many words there are. Not many, right? This is how you concise the information. And when information is concised, you can read it faster, process it faster, as well as listen to the audio along with it. Moving ahead, we have another thing that we have to understand in multiple choice, because we have choice, that is options, we have to understand them. If you can look at these questions, we have how many? 3 options. It's always 3 options. This is the simple one, right? Now look at these. Oh, they're huge, right? Too many options. Okay. First thing, remember, you don't ever have to write the full answer as the answer. You have to write either A, B, or C. Okay. Second thing, I think I already told you how to concise the option. Last thing, which we didn't discuss in concise, is if the option is too long and you don't have any time to concise, what you can do is skip it, right? What is the meaning of skipping? Let me explain. So we have a question here, and we're going to listen about this question rather than waiting for any option. How they do is, you might have already gone through the example. They're going to talk about this. They're going to talk about something about this or certain words, and they're going to also talk about number C. They try to distract you. If you're distracted, you're gonna choose the incorrect answer because you heard food or diet or unhealthy, any of these words. My suggestion is, if the options are too long, if you can't concise, what you should do is just look for the answer rather than connecting with options. So research evidence suggests that. Now you look for and listen into the audio and listen about research evidence. That's it. What do they suggest? This is also important, the verb that is they're using, right? And then you keep searching, what are they suggesting? When you find answer, just write in your notebook, oh, they're suggesting this, and then later combine or contrast with this. Same goes for the next question. Without reading the option, you have saved plenty of the time, and hence you can listen to the next question easily. I mean, next part which you're in the audio, and also read the next question. Some people just keep reading the options. It's not a good thing. Second thing about option is, when you're given time, like for example, they say, oh, now you have 30 seconds to read question number 31 to 40. In this time, if you have options between these, I mean, multiple choice questions in between these, let's say 35 to 40 are multiple choice. Never read options in that time. Always read questions. That is, number 35 is the question and you read it. 36 is the question, you read it. You never read the options because you're not going to remember them, right? Your task is to just read the question, try to understand it. Next one, read the question, try to understand it. That's it. If the options are way too huge. If the options are okay sized, you can use the concise method and shorten them as possible. If the options are way too short, like we have seen previously, now if you look here, that options are too short. This is easy. You can connect with the audio. You don't need to skip the audio, the options. It's fairly easy. It comes in section 1, right? But section 3 is a trouble. Yeah. Now proceeding is distractions. Big trouble. If you look at this, the words, what they're going to use is, they're going to talk about Thai people having difficulty digesting milk for sure. This is the main theme in the audio. But while discussing the options, what they're going to do is, they're going to talk about too much lactose. They're going to talk about farm cows. They're going to talk about enzymes. Every word they're going to talk about. But in what sense? Well, in different sense. That means they might not talk about lactose in their body. They might talk about lactose somewhere else. They might not talk about farming cows in the past. So your task is to get the distraction in the side. And how can you do that? What I generally suggest, or what I generally do, is I listen for each statement. So we have an audio, one statement is over, next statement starts. Then we have plenty of statements aligned, right? I always do one thing. I listen to one statement and check, does it connect anyway with this question? That Thai people having difficulty digesting milk? Nah, then I skip it, whatever. Next one, I listen to the next statement. I never jump to the option listening to one part of it, or just one sentence. If it is connecting with the question, now I have to get attentive. Let's say this one has something about digesting milk, and Thai people both. Oh, now I have to be paying attention, maybe to this one and this one both. Then I can choose the answer easily. That's how you can remove the distractions. If this is not here, in the second statement, you go to the third statement. In the audio, I think you can recognize when the statement has ended. They take a mini break that is like a full stop. Okay? These are some of the distractions, and this is how you can reduce them. The last one, how to practice. Very important. I've seen many people, doing 8 to 9 or to even 10 tests in a row, like within a week or 2 weeks, and they still are scoring 24 to 26 out of 40 in listening. And they keep coming to me like, why is this happening? I tell them one thing. You have to ask yourself 2 questions. You have to recognize, first of all, what went wrong. Why did you not get the right answer? And these 2 questions are, why did I not get the right answer? What was the reason at that time? And that you have to do as soon as you finish the test. Second question, why did I fall for the wrong answer? See, it's pretty simple, but it's so elegant that it makes sense by itself. So why did I not get the right answer, and why did I fall for the wrong answer? If you know what was the reason for you, the distraction was the reason, never you're going to fall for such distraction. If you know the reason was because they have similar ideas, you're going to next time understand similar ideas, right? So these 2 questions you should always answer as soon as you get your score or test done. So today I practice listening and I get 34 out of 40. I won't celebrate to get 34. Now I'm not saying you should always be sad. I'm just saying, why did I get the 6 deductions? The reason could be the solution. What if you keep getting 34 every time, or 33, and in exam you get this 6 kind of questions? You get 6 deduction, right, out of 40. So you get 6, right? Next time you got 6. What if these kind of 12 questions asked in exam? How much do you think you'll get? You'll get 26 out of 40. That's so sad. Though you have practiced, you didn't practice in a way. So I hope you understand. First of all, understand where you went wrong. Second, answer the 2 questions. Why did I get the right answer? And why did I not get the right answer? And why did I fall for the wrong answer? Okay, and that's how we're gonna work on our multiple choice questions. Short answers. How to find solutions for short answer kind of questions in listening modules. Yeah, this kind of question actually can be asked as W questions. Okay, I think you know what W questions are, right? Which has W words in them, like what, why, where, when, and all this kind of question. The answers are no longer than 4 words. What I mean by no longer than 4 words, when they are providing us instructions, the answers won't be more than 4 words. They'll say, try to answer no longer than 3 words, no more than 2 words. So your limit will go maximum to 4 words. That's why they are short question answers. Okay. Now moving on, they're not that difficult compared to MCQs or multiple choice questions, which we have seen earlier. The reason for them not being difficult is there's just one single question. All you have to do is just read the question and easily find the answer. And that is why it's not that difficult. Okay. Now let's see an example so that you can easily understand what I mean by simple question kind of answer. This is what you see here. We have question, what 2 factors can make social contact in foreign country difficult? You see, this is a direct question. It could be 2 factors, it could be 1 factor. Here they have mentioned 2 factors. It could be 1 factor they might ask, but it is a direct question for short answer. Now look at the instruction. They have mentioned 3 words. So watch out for that, okay? I'm going to play the audio and let you finish these questions 11 to 16. Get ready for the audio.
You will hear an extract from a talk given to a group who are going to stay in the UK.
Good evening and welcome to the British Council. My name is John Parker and I've been asked to talk to you briefly about certain aspects of life in the UK before you actually go there. So I'm going to talk first about the best ways of making social contacts there. Now, you might be wondering why it should be necessary. After all, we meet people all the time. But when you're living in a foreign country, it can be more difficult, not just because of the language, but because customs may be different. If you're going to work in the UK, you will probably be living in private accommodation, so it won't be quite so easy to meet people. But there are still things that you can do to help yourself. First of all, you can get involved in activities in your local community. Join a group of some kind. For example, you'll probably find that there are theatre groups who might be looking for actors, set designers and so on. Or if you play an instrument, you could join music groups in your area. Or if you like the idea of finding out about local history, there'll be a group for that too. These are just examples. And the best place to get information about things like this are either the town hall or the public library. Libraries in the UK perform quite a broad range of functions nowadays. They're not just confined to lending books, although that's their main role, of course.
Great. And we are back. I hope you find all the answers. Let's see the answers themselves. The first one, that is 11th, is language. 12th is customs. 13th is music or music groups. 14th is local history groups. 15th, the public, you can ignore if you want. Library or libraries. Right? As we have 3 words, we can write the public library or the public libraries. And the last one, the town hall or just town hall. If you got full, 6 out of 6, wonderful. If not, don't worry. Like always, we're going to provide you pointers. Those are going to help you to get the answers correctly. Okay, cool. Now, pointers are again the same thing as we discussed earlier. These are the tips that are going to help you to find answers easily. The first one is number of words, or let's say instructions. So this is our question, right? In here, these are questions. This above is instructions. So we'll get rid of the questions and let's just zoom in here. You see how many words do we have here? 3 words and or a number. In a previous video, I have explained this, what is the meaning of and or a number. If you can, please go back to the other video. If not, let me explain it here. You cannot write more than 3 words. Your answer must be between 1 to 3 words. Secondly, if it is a number, you can add it to the word. For example, on the boat will fulfill the requirement of not more than 3 words. But if you add one more number here, 2 on the boat, it's still correct because we are allowed to use a number apart from these 3 words. That's what it means, right? So you can choose answer accordingly. That is what the instructions on number of words mean. Okay. Next one is the W question. It's important to understand the question. See, our problem is actually we don't listen to reply. We don't listen to understand. We listen to reply. When you listen to understand, it gets easier. Not just in IELTS, I guess, in everywhere in life or in relationships. When we listen to just reply, we tend to just get to the point and just get to our, throw our answers to them. Not a good idea. Same goes here in IELTS. When you listen to the question, please try to understand what the question is and guess the answer for the W question. Now, what does it mean by guessing the answer? So we have some questions here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the instructions and let me zoom in here. We have here what 2 factors can make social contact in foreign country difficult. Here the question word is what. This is important. Second is the information here, factors. So all you have to listen to is what factors. What factors? Social contact foreign country difficult. That's it. So you can guess what are the factors are they talking about. So here you have to look for what factors. In second one, you can see which community group. So there must be names for community groups, you know. So that first they have given example, theater. Watch out for these examples as well. Now we have 13 and 14 you have to provide as community group. Number third, in which places. So in which, two places means again they have to talk about places. You see, this is how we guess the answer by understanding the question itself. Now, while you're listening to the audio, of course, you cannot read everything at the same time. You are supposed to read this when you are given 30 seconds before you go for the question slot. Let's say they'll say, please read the question between 21 to 25 and then you hear the audio. So in these 30 seconds, what you're supposed to do is read the questions, underline what is the important information like we did here in the case of this one, what factors, in here which community groups, and here in which places. You see, this information going to be very helpful for us in future, in the coming task. Yeah. All right, the next pointer is stay ahead of the audio. What is the meaning of staying ahead of the audio? The meaning is that you read one question in advance. While you're listening to the audio, please, before the audio starts, as soon as possible, read this question and this question for sure, at least that is the one and the next one to it. As soon as you find the answer for this one, you jump to this one, right? When you already have read this one, so it's get easier for you. When you're reading this and you find the answer, immediately jump to this one. So staying ahead of the audio will help you. In the previous video, we have shown you what is the meaning of speed reading. Please go through it. It will help you to read as quicker as possible. So you will be able to finish this sentence within the span of like 2 to 3 seconds. Okay, that will be really fast. This method has been explained in the previous video. I suggest you go back and read or listen to the whole video and understand the method. Okay. Proceeding, we have paraphrases. What is the meaning of paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is when we don't change the meaning of a statement, but we provide it in different words. That is called paraphrasing. Now, most sentences which you hear in the audio are paraphrased. That means you're not going to hear exact question or exact words in your statement. So let's see an example. These are some questions. Yeah, let me get rid of some of them and just let's take out of this question. Options are not important for us. Now, this is the question which we have in exam. What are the things they could change? How they could put this question or provide this information in the audio? They might say something like this. Which aspects can make it hard to have a social contact in a foreign country? Now see, we changed two factors to social aspects. Two aspects. Social contact, that is fine, we can keep it same. They might keep it same. Foreign country, similar, but make it difficult, make it hard. Yeah. So this is just our interpretation. All could be possibly just to show you that this could be said in this way in exam. That you might hear the audio in this form, right? This is how it is paraphrased. I hope you understand what I mean by that. They're never going to provide you the exact words in the question. You have to listen to understand the audio, all right? Now, the next one is very similar to paraphrasing, but this is for words. That is, they will be using synonyms of the words, right? With example, it will get clear. Now, let's take 3 of these examples and eliminate 2 of them. And let's talk about this. Let me zoom in here. If you look at it here, we have certain words that we can find synonym of. They could change those words. Here we have types, could be kinds. Instead of community, they might use neighborhood. Instead of so you see that how these synonyms are used in the audio itself. We should be ready for such synonyms. But let me tell you one more thing. Yes, you might hear synonyms in the audio, but please don't write anything which is not you didn't hear in the audio. Okay? If you didn't hear anything, don't write it. If you did hear the word, write it. Writing a synonym of a word as answer is incorrect. You are supposed to write the answer itself, what you heard. What I'm trying to explain here is, in the question you might see this as your question, but in audio you might hear this in order to explain this part. Okay, this is how they're going to use synonyms. Right? Good. The last but not the least are the spellings. If you have spelling mistakes as an answer, in an answer it's definitely incorrect. So let's see. Yeah, of course, incorrect answer, that means no score. So you get 0 in that question. And in listening, you know, one correct answer, you get 1 point. And do you remember how many points do we have total? 40 questions, hence 40 points, right? Okay, this is what we did today, that is languages and custom. Now, if you look at it, what if, let me just get rid of this to zoom in. What if we write instead of language, languages? Incorrect. What if in custom we write customs? You know, it should fit what they have said. Second thing, it should be fitting according to the spelling. Now, instead of music, what if I write like this? It's incorrect. So just a tiny mistake can ruin your answer. Spelling mistakes have to be taken care. They cannot be considered, oh, I did hear the answer, by mistake I wrote incorrect spelling. Nope, sorry. One more thing I would like to mention here, in listening, please try to provide all one more thing I would like to clear is, please try to provide in listening all answers as uppercase. So for example, we have music groups here. Try to write in this way rather than this way. The reason for that is, they don't have penalty for writing in all caps lock or all uppercase. But in case if you make mistake in writing first letter capital or not capital, it is incorrect. For an example, all the proper nouns, those are names, should have first letter capitalized. Otherwise you don't need to. Now, who will think of these rules while they are writing the answer? No one. So I suggest write all of the words, all of the letters capital. That will make it better. Okay, there's no penalty for writing all of them capital. Okay, cool.